Joining me now, Congresswoman Nanette Barragán, Democrat of California and chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's start with some exclusive breaking news from NBC News today. Former President Donald Trump is scheduled to sit for an interview tomorrow with a New York City probation officer. Trump will be joining by video conference from Mar-a-Lago, an accommodation most people convicted of multiple felonies would never receive. And yet, Trump continues to argue he's being treated unfairly. How do you think American voters are adjusting to the reality of a presidential candidate and former president who's been found guilty of crimes by a jury of his peers?
Well, thank you for having me, Reverend. I think everybody should be treated in this country the same. Nobody should be above the law, shouldn't get that special treatment, but we're seeing that happening here. Look, I haven't heard from my constituents very much other than to say we now have a convicted felon who's an ex-president, and we got to make sure that he doesn't get back into the White House again. There's a lot of concern and fear, of course, of what a second Trump presidency would look like, especially in my Latino community and across the country when we're traveling with the Hispanic Caucus on the road in Latino communities.
Now, the Trump campaign launched its Latino outreach efforts today in Nevada, where temperatures have reached 100+ degrees this afternoon amid a Southwest heat wave yesterday. Trump went ahead with a rally in Arizona as the temperatures topped 110 degrees, and some attendees had to be hospitalized. The Trump campaign says it's taking precautions today. But as we both know, Trump is a climate change denier, and it's not the first time that his supporters have needed hospitalization after being exposed to extreme temperatures at one of his campaign rallies. What are your thoughts as he targets Latino voters this weekend, seemingly oblivious to their real health and safety?
Well, Robert, this is no real Latino outreach. This president is a fraud. And if you take a look at the record on what he did for Latinos when he was in the White House, he was no friend of Latinos. He was the one who separated families. He was the one that had the highest unemployment of Latinos when he was in office. This is somebody who tried to take away the Affordable Care Act, which would strip healthcare away from millions of Latinos. So he is no friend. And let's remember that he is going to do mass deportations. And he's even said that he's going to sweep up people who shouldn't even be swept up. Innocent, beautiful people, he has said. So this is somebody who Latinos should be very concerned about and worried about. What was interesting about the rally today, you didn't hear Donald Trump at all talk about abortion or women's reproductive rights. Why is that? Because in Nevada, 81% of Latinos believe that a woman should have the right to choose and should have access to health care. And
81%?
They're going to 81% of Latinos in Nevada believe that a woman should have the right to choose and have access to abortion. He didn't talk about it at all. He also didn't talk about this new attack on women not having access to contraceptive and IVF. So this is a real issue, and this former president is not talking about that in a critical state like Nevada because he knows, or maybe he doesn't know, but that this is how they feel. And so again, he is no friend of Latinos. He is a fraud. And I'm hoping that we can go and remind the American people of his record and what he says he's going to do to Latinos. And it's not good.
Highest level of unemployment of Latinos when he was president. That's interesting. Let's move on, though, here to the Hispanic Caucus's response to President Biden's recent executive action limiting the number of daily asylum requests. As caucus chair, you've expressed your disappointment with the action, which follows several meetings the caucus had recently with the president on immigration. After congressional Republicans killed a more comprehensive immigration bill to please Trump, who wants to run on the issue in this election. What does the order What does the order get right and what does it get wrong in your view? And what impact might it have on President Biden's Latino support, which polls showed to have eroded ahead of the election?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm disappointed the president is going in this direction. We have seen that under the former president, he used this very same authority to stop people from coming and being able to claim asylum. That's just very un-American. It's not what we are, what our values are. And so one of the things that we, as the Hispanic Caucus, implored the president to do is to make sure to not only focus on enforcement only, but make sure that we're pairing that with positives and the things that we can make sure we're telling Latinos that we're fighting for. For example, making sure that there's protection for the spouses of U.S. citizens. This has been the top ask and the top priority of the Hispanic Caucus, asking the president and the White House to make sure that they're doing. And this is something I understand is being considered. But we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect folks who've been here for a long time. Undocumented folks need those protections. And many people, Reverend, think that if you marry a U.S. citizen, that you automatically have a fast pathway to becoming a citizen here or getting a green card. And that's really what we're asking for, is the ability for people to work, the ability for people to stay here who've been here for a long time. And so we're hoping that the president will take action soon, as quickly as possible, to make sure that we, offset the enforcement, because we know enforcement only doesn't work.